All right, welcome back to part two, folks. No intro needed because this is literally a continuation from part one or something like that. Dylan, hey Dylan. Okay, so Dylan, I was asking you like right before we just started this, and I kind of like was like, let's stop mid answer because I want to hear it and I want the people to hear it. Okay, so I asked you because from from what I've seen, um, based off like things that you post and like how you speak about just things, you seem to be a lot more spiritually enlightened, attuned, aware, than a lot of people that I come across. And that's not saying that that's not a bad thing. It's just that it is definitely an observation. I think that that is something extremely cool. So I asked you, I was like, what was the cause of that? Was it because you had like a near death experience? Because I do watch a lot of near death experience videos, and um, people that do get to come back, um, they have a different type of spiritual kind of awakening, myself included. Fun fact.
Right.
Go for it.
Oh, well, no, that's well, so kind of like what we were talk or about to talk about and everything before is like there've been a lot of like pivotal and significant experiences that have happened in my life. I don't really know like what it means to be, I guess, like enlightened or just like I guess in that realm, but there've just been a lot of really probably like I'd say like painful experiences that I've
Mm-hmm.
gone through. I wouldn't say they were near death experiences or anything like that, but I'd say that there were parts there were experiences that really kind of shifted my perspective and shifted kind of the way that I move through life and everything like that. And there was definitely a lot of experiences I'd say that caused me to really reevaluate how this world works and everything. And I mean, I'd say like it really started when I was like little, like I'd say like right out the womb, basically when
Mm-hmm.
probably like 5, 6 years old, I had a pretty traumatic experience, like a lot of traumatic experiences and everything like that, just dealing with racism, dealing with like physical abuse, dealing with psychological abuse, dealing with the suppression of my voice. I mean, tied in with being so young, having to deal with such intense like hatred and negativity in the environment, not really at not really having any control over those like situations and everything like that. Because
Mm.
you, obviously, you're when you're a little, like when you're a kid, like little kid, you can't
Yeah.
really. There's not really much you can do in the sense of like taking yourself out of environment, especially when you're being
Right.
cared for. So, yeah, I mean, there was a lot of like of that and everything like that when I was like 5, 6 years old, and then I'd say like around that time, a couple years after being put up for adoption, I mean, this was a very like there was a lot going on like right away and everything like that. And again, being exposed to the whole racism stuff and just that at a young age kind of like really opened up my eyes towards just kind of just people in general and everything like that, and just like
Mm-hmm.
understanding different walks of life and understanding like what it feels like to be on the other side of those, other side of that and everything like that. And
Mm-hmm.
really just being like, okay, I don't know why this is happening to me or like what's happening or like the reason why and everything like that. And then I mean there have been a lot of different things, but it hasn't just been one thing, but it all ebbs and flows, kind of like what we were talking about before. So there was
Mm-hmm.
like peaks of, amazing I guess experiences. I wouldn't say they were good or bad, but just experiences that were a little bit like of higher quality and like higher
Mm-hmm.
vibration, I guess, than
Yeah.
those ones and everything like that. And so,
Yeah. Yeah. Trauma can teach us a lot, can it?
yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I feel like going on around. It's hard to
No,
really
you're
pinpoint things, you
fine.
know what I mean? Well, because it's like hard to pinpoint like exactly okay
Yeah, it's
what
complex.
experiences, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so that was
Oh yeah,
that's kind
no,
of it.
I'm just here listening. You're doing good. This this
But,
vulnerability time. We ramble. We ramble, especially me.
no.
All the time. I ramble all the fucking time. Oh, okay. Um, there's another thing I want to ask, but I don't know if it's too personal.
No, you can no ask it. Ask what?
Have you experienced sexual abuse?
Not sexual abuse.
Okay.
More, more. I'd say it was the physical abuse for sure. I mean,
Mhm.
again, like, it's like being when I was like 5, 6 years old. Again, like it was. I mean, essentially, it was coming from the fact because I'm mixed, because my dad, not because of that, but my dad being black, my mom being white, and everything like that.
Mhm.
Not saying that's why I was physically abused, but the man who was in the house at the time, who was physically abusing me, he, didn't like this and everything like that. Like, he didn't like that. I had stepbrothers who were all like full fledged, Caucasian. They were full fledged white, and from what I was told and everything like that, I was the one that was like picked out of the bunch, like most of the time and everything like that. And so this guy, I mean, he ended up going to prison. He ended up going to jail and everything eventually, right? Like, yeah. and but I really think that shaped my experiences. I think that was like the start of the things that were necessary to carry me to where I'm at and where I'm going and everything like that. I mean, so a lot of people believe in like soul contracts. A lot of people think, that you sign up for this and everything prior to coming into this body. I don't, again, like, we don't know for sure, but I do think there's a reason why that certain people have to go through certain things, and
Mhm.
those things aren't the most pleasant experiences, but they're necessary for whatever part you're playing in this journey and everything like that.
Mm.
Yeah,
Ooh, you were just speaking facts. Okay, so I've been watching tons of near-death experience videos.
yeah. Well,
And
yeah, yours,
hmm.
like yours and everything like that, right? Sorry, go ahead. My bad.
Oh no, you're fine. I just couldn't hear you. Yeah, because I in this very room that I'm recording in was when I committed suicide when I was 15.
Okay. That's it. Yeah, that's
Dunzo,
that's
out
intense.
of here. And so ever since then, I I think differently than a lot of people. I know certain things. I see certain things.
Hmm.
And by see certain things, I'm not saying like, oh, I see like angels and demons. I don't see those anymore. Um, but when I did see it, it was like mostly demons. But thankfully, I don't see that. Because I know people say, oh, that's schizophrenia. I mean, that's not necessarily how that works.
Right. It's
Um,
definitely different.
and I'm just like, there are, there's other realms, there's a whole spiritual side of many, many, many things. But I will say this. I will say the soul contract. I like the word that you said it. The soul contract. Basically, that whole theme of, we get to choose a lot of our experiences, not just for our own benefits, but for the benefits of others to help teach them, to help learn, to help experience things that only a human being can experience. Um, I would say this: what my experience taught me is that does seem to be very accurate. I'm just, from my experience, that's what I'm saying. From my experience, and the reason why, like, all these other near-death experience videos, all from biased and unbiased sources. We got atheists, we got Buddhists, we got um, freaking preachers' daughters and pastors, Christians. Like, everyone, they don't even know each other. These people don't know each other, and they're just on YouTube sharing their story. And the fact that it's just like, and I've seen way too many of those videos. Um, I'm just like, one, I am more amped to believe um, what a lot of people are saying over than others, because I'm like, I experienced something so similar. Obviously, they got longer experiences than I did, but I'm like, interesting. That makes a lot of sense. But and I did get to meet the Jesus guy. He's not the Jesus that I was taught about in church. He's not that religion type of guy. It seems I don't know. I don't want to like scare people off, but how about this? This is what I'll say. How about this? Um, Based off my experience and these other people's near-death experiences, it seems like when it seems like that Jesus was an extended master
Hmm.
to defeat death. It seems like it is finished means it is finished for every single person. Does not matter. Um, doesn't matter if you like them or not. It seems like it is finished for everyone, and that there's no more death for anyone. Um, that's what it from my experience in these near death experience videos. But I'm
Yeah.
just gonna, you know,
No, it's
so
cool.
that's what I'm saying for my experience mostly as well. And the other thing is that it does appear and it does seem as though we did get to choose a lot of things, not just for our own spiritual learning advancement, but others as well. It seems like parental guardians are definitely a more specifically based thing. That definitely is a huge aspect of it. So I'm not saying any of this is like hardcore the yes, but I'm just saying a lot of what you just said there, I can attest, and I know what I experienced, and I was never that type of person to even think that Jesus was real or to think that higher power or higher powers were real. I was a skeptical, hardcore atheist, you know. And then boom, I had that experience when I killed myself, and so it just opened my eyes to a lot. And um, I it does, Dylan. Between me and you, it seems like first off, God is huge. Like
Yeah.
huge. Like, who are we to like put them in a box of, oh, it's just the Bible. It seems like there's tons of truth that has
Yeah.
just been spreaded out and put into other belief systems and religion as a way of to help separate human beings. But it appears as though we all knew that there would be chaos. It appears as though Earth is the quickest way to learn things.
Yeah. I think
Does that
Canon.
make sense?
No, it does. I mean, there's a lady. I think Canon Dolores talks about that a lot too. I don't know if you've heard of
Mm-hmm.
her, but yeah, she's a big like advocate about that and everything. But there's something else I was gonna say about that, but it slipped my mind. So
Oh, if it comes back up, I mean, literally, just interrupt me. I'm serious. Just literally interrupt me.
okay.
I, because I know we're gonna delve into past traumas a little bit. If you're still comfortable with that, I respect boundaries.
Yeah.
Um, I there are some parts about my near-death experience that I shut out from telling people because I didn't want them to invalidate it. I told them most of the things, but I didn't tell them that it doesn't. I don't think hell it exists for humans anymore. And I was like, that's just me. That's just from my experience. Like, it just does not seem. It just does not. But seeing these videos, it just gave me confidence. I was like, oh my god, like they're saying these same things. And it made and I'm so glad that like my higher powers, and I'm talking Holy Spirit, Jesus, God, the vibrations of the universe, my spirit guides, they're all fired, by the way. It's just like, you're all fired, by the
Yeah.
way. But I thank them for hearing my like cries. I'm because I was just so mad at God. I was very indifferent about Jesus
Yeah.
for a long time now. I've always been mad at God because I was just like, I just don't understand. Like, it seemed as though my childhood was so strategically, consistently supposed to be fucked up. You know, and I'm like, of course I would be at the wrong place at the wrong time. Way too many times, you know what I mean? And it's like, I only remember two good things happening in my childhood. Literally. I mean, literally, you know, so it seeing these videos and it assuring my experience because how I learn and how I do research, I don't do it biasly. I think that if you're confirming something from a biased source, you're gonna get it because it's
Right.
biased. You know what I mean? I was like, that's not really because knowledge comes with challenge. So it's just like if something is like true, then bias and non-bias is gonna show that. But for me, I like to do non-biased research and biased research. So that's why I love these near-death experience videos because we're hearing the same things from people who identify as Buddhists on this earth, people who identify as Christian, the Southern Baptist Christians as well. You know,
Like they're
whole
connected.
yeah. So I'm like, yeah. So it just took all of the weight, like all the anger off my shoulders towards God because I was just like, you motherfucker. I was like, who, this childhood, bitch, you could have it. I'm just like, you can have it. So
Yeah.
it makes a lot of sense because it literally, it just looks so consistent, you know, and it makes so much sense. And I was like, okay, I chose it to learn. I chose these parents to teach them things. Um, Now, whether they chose to learn it because we still have free will, you know, I don't know. But
Right.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying, folks. I'm not trying to, you know, sound all like conspiracy. No, I'm just saying my experience, and I'm just saying others' experience. Folks, find out for yourself. It doesn't matter. We're still on this earth, learning, living, and before and after this, we're gonna see that we were supposed to forget a lot of things in order to truly learn on this earth because you can't really um, learn something without challenge. And so that's why we're not meant to know our plan before coming here. And last thing, Dylan, I would say when I killed myself at 15, and when Jesus hugged me, because I was crying my eyes out,
Hmm.
um, I felt like I was home. I felt like I'd been there before. It, it's like I was home. Like it was familiar. It's, you know, and when I heard so many people say that in the near like experience videos, my mouth just dropped because I'm like, oh my god, that's what I, you know,
Hmm.
yeah, and I think that's gonna be very similar for many people, for a lot of us, for all of us, is that, you know, we're gonna, whenever it's our time, we're gonna realize, oh, I've been here before. And then, yeah, it's, it's a
Yeah.
beautiful experience.
No, that's
I
amazing. Honestly,
hear,
that's incredible. You've had
yeah,
quite the experience, honestly, like a very eye-opening experience for sure. I'm sure it's like how it maybe it's why you're doing what you're doing and connecting with so many people and everything like
mm,
that. I don't, who knows, but yeah, death. I mean, I don't think it has to be a scary thing either. Like, I don't really think it has to
right,
be a
right,
terrifying thing. And I know it's something that, I mean, maybe I'll experience at some point in my life too, where I'm like freak out because I'm like, oh crap,
yeah.
it could be around.
Okay, well, be careful what you literally what you ask for. Seriously, no, seriously, because it seems like people get these experiences based off something traumatic going on. Now, like being dead and death are two different things. Death is no more. I know us humans we still call dead and death, but you know what it taught me? It taught me that being dead is only hard for the living. It's only hard for the living. It's only hard for us that are still here, because it's just like once we're like after this, we are not complaining. we're not complaining. We're just living our best life, literally. But yeah, um, I would say, definitely think about if you really do want to experience that, because it does seem like, it happens because of a traumatic experience, like a car accident or a suicide attempt. Or, I would love to meet people who just, it happened in a dream, or they just went in their sleep and then got to come back. So I like to say that because though the experience was extremely beautiful, Dylan, extremely beautiful, what it took to get to that point, horrible. Absolutely horrible. Just horrible. But then once I actually died, I was like, oh my god, this is freaking amazing. But it's just like getting to that point while you're still alive on Earth, you know, suicide is not always a happy thing. People are like
Absolutely, I mean,
suffering.
no, absolutely not.
Yeah,
Most of the
I'm not
time,
saying you said that. I'm not saying you
yeah,
said that. I'm just saying, like, I'm trying to give more, like, trying to prove my point more of the whole, um, it seems to be a traumatic thing
yeah,
that,
for most people, suicide is not exactly like I'm sure it's probably not a roller coaster for most
no,
people.
just
But
NDEs in general. Just NDEs in general. Like, all these videos that I'm seeing, it's just like, oh, they were in a car accident, or
yeah,
they had a severe illness, and that's how they got their experience. Because I truly think if we truly, 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 truly do want it, I mean, it's like, yeah. Will I say it's worth it? Yeah. Is it worth all that trauma? Yeah. But like, you know,
yeah. I
I could
mean,
live without. I could live without.
yeah, I was about to say, I was like, I'm it's definitely not something that I feel like it's something that you should be seeking out. Obviously, I don't think suicide is ever something, especially if you're trying to like learn from it and everything like that. I don't there's
Mhm,
plenty of other ways to gain life experience
mhm.
outside of like attempting like suicide is something as serious suicide because it
Right.
does become it affects everyone around you and everything like
Mhm.
that. So it's not something that is exactly ideal to learn and everything like that. But like it is something that if you're going through it, it's hard to explain it to someone who hasn't gone through serious sadness or serious
Right.
depression because
Right.
especially I mean everyone has moments of sadness and everything like that or serious feelings of
Mhm.
sadness and everything like that. But for someone who does have depression or has what people quote as mental illness and everything like that is
Mhm.
something that can't really be fully explained and everything. And so when you do go through a suicidal experience, everything like that, or like when you are having suicidal thoughts, it becomes very overwhelming. And it's again, it's like you when someone's like, "Oh, you're so selfish" and everything like that, like, "How could you do that?" It's like, well, you don't know what I'm experiencing. You don't know the pain. You don't know the severity of how
Right.
intense this like inner pain is, but maybe you do and everything like that. Like maybe you do, but again, it's like to say that to a person who is experiencing
Right.
serious modes of sadness and depression, it's like it's they might not fully understand it, even though they think they might do. They might not fully understand it and everything like that. So
Right.
yeah, like I've had my own bouts of serious depression and everything like that, and it's like fire. You know, it feels like fire. It feels like
Yeah.
your whole inner world is just on fire and you just fall into this
Mhm.
pit and you tear yourself apart. You know, like you tear yourself apart and everything is just like it's intense and everything like that. But I feel like if you can get through it, it does. I feel like that's what's contribute. You asked going back to your first question. I think that's what's contributed to
Mhm.
my ability to be resilient and to kind of share these experiences with clients, with friends, with family, and
Mhm.
come off sometimes like I've had people tell me that I seem like more mature or like more emotionally mature or like wise and everything like that. But I don't like ever identify as that. This is just things that people have told me, but I think the experiences I've gone through have helped
Yeah.
helped kind of
Right.
create that in other people's eyes, but not necessarily my own.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh yes, yes. The trauma comes with pros and cons. One of the pros is that that thing can grow you up. That thing can teach you things that, and you seem very. That's what I'm saying. Like honestly, Dylan, I don't even think you need an NDE anyways. Like you already seem like good to go. Like you seem like
wait, I don't need a what?
you
What'd you
seem
say?
like good to go. Like you seem
Oh,
like set in you know this spiritual like awareness and awakeness seems
yeah,
like you have a I mean I don't know you
yeah,
honestly but just from what I've seen it seems like you got a lot of the exact same qualities obviously in a different way but you got a
yeah.
lot of the exact same qualities of people who have died and came back to earth.
I was gonna say you obviously you as well and everything like
Yeah,
that.
because I actually did die and came back to Earth. But you,
Yeah,
but
but still,
you didn't have to
yeah,
go through that. Go
like,
you. Seriously, go you. I know that's
yeah.
not
I mean,
easy. Let's be
well,
honest.
like, and it's not to say that the experiences I went through weren't like again, I don't think I've had a near death experience, but it's not to say that they weren't as they could have been just as intense. But I won't know because I haven't really remembered, or I don't think I've ever really had one or anything like that. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Well. Yeah, and to extra validate your point as well, it's like someone could have the exact same intensity and still not put an action behind it.
yeah,
So just to, I don't want. Forgive me if I made it seem like
no,
it was like a scale. I'm sorry. Oh, okay, I didn't.
not
Okay,
at
good.
all. No, you're good. I'm just listening.
Okay.
Everything. Yeah, I didn't take any. There's like no offense. I'm just bouncing off what you're talking about and everything like that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and I don't know, if I'm being vulnerable, this is vulnerability time. Sorry,
yeah.
Dylan, I'm about to drop a heavy bomb. I don't know, it might make you look at me different. But
This is what your podcast is. It's cool.
this is
Yeah,
pretty cool. So I
don't
had to
love it.
call my support group yesterday, which is I have 5 people in my support group. All of my best friends, they're all my best friends. Um, I had to call 2 of them because I was about to do another attempt. The same way when I was 15, and I started to, you know, realize that watching all of those near-death experience videos, um, I watched too much of them to where it made me because it's not like I haven't already experienced it. So it's just like I know that for me at least, for me, I feel like me being on Earth, I'm missing out by being on Earth.
Yeah,
Um, and that's just me. That's just me. You know, like how people love life. You know, time is precious. You never know when your time is up, or you only get one life. I don't see things like that. I don't see time and life like that anymore. I just don't. So me, I'm just like I don't give a freak about time. I'm like it's this isn't even real time anyway. It really isn't. Like really, it really isn't. Eternity uh, feels long. For example, like 6 minutes here on Earth um, can feel like 2 hours in eternity. So it is time is definitely different. I don't even think it's the word time, but that's the best that us humans can grasp.
yeah,
Um,
yep.
Events and stuff is time and hours and all that good stuff. But yeah, no, like I was telling I was like, guys, like I can like I've done all this healing. I've done all this growth and I don't people are so surprised when I tell them I had a awful childhood. Because I don't act like how what I been through. people see the healing has brought so much of the just the blessings, you know what I mean? Obviously, it still comes with the burdens. And those burdens are I suffer from depression. But like people won't know unless like I actually just say something. Um, and it's not like I hide it. I'm just genuinely just this. Like I like smile a lot and shit like that. It's like I do suffer from depression, and that's why I know I act so happy because in a way I am. I think a lot of people just make me happy. You know, just human beings. I don't see all human beings like this anymore, but human beings, I just think they're just full of such unique experiences, and I think it's so cool. And I just would love to just learn this human being. Like, what can I learn from them? You know, like look at the gifts that they have. You know, I want to be able to, you know, just be another human being. Just we're all on this journey together. We're in the same route, different boats. You know, yeah, I don't know. It's just so I don't know. I think humans are one of our greatest can be one of our like greatest learning um, tools. Things that you know calculators and textbooks can't teach us. You know,
Right. Yeah. Because I mean, all of our experience, we're really just helping one another. We're just
yeah,
are sharing our own experiences with one another to,
yeah,
I mean, ultimately, I mean, maybe not everyone's intention, but to create a more unified experience. Well, some people don't think that we're here to like help each other. Some people,
yeah. I know.
like, I don't know. I guess it's like,
Yeah, look at the politicians. All of them, every single one of them. Just like every single one of them. Everyone's all for themselves.
I don't
Obviously,
know. There's
that's
one. Well, there's this one quote that I remember, like that, like will always sit with me, and it's we don't have to think alike to love alike, and I think that's like a big thing.
mm.
Like you don't have to think
Let me
like one
write
of
that
my
down.
yeah, like one of my really good friends. He's like he just has a very like he's very strong, like strongly opinionated and everything. I'm not gonna say any names,
Mhm.
but he just has a very strong opinion about things, and there's certain things I'm just like that's I don't I don't
Right.
think the same way, and I just like, disagree. But he's someone who I care deeply about, and I think that I would do a lot for him, and it doesn't matter how he thinks at the end of the day because we're both human beings
Yes.
ultimately. So it doesn't even matter really.
Yes.
But there's like so much divide in the world and everything like that. But
Yeah. Hmm. So that was my whole thing yesterday. I was just like,
yeah, sorry you went through that, man, and everything. I didn't realize it was that close to this and
mm,
everything. You needed to reschedule or like find a new time, because of. So
it's fine.
how are you
I
doing now?
didn't actually attempt. I was very, very, very close. I had all the pills laid out, and then I called my support group. So, if I did attempt, it would be my third attempt since I was 15. Um, well, I guess it would be the second because when I was 15, it actually went through.
Mhm.
But it there's a lot of things that my just soul craves, and it makes sense because it was mine. It is all of ours to begin with. You know that whole aspect of love, like
Yeah,
before and after this. You know, and even during, but not as great as it is. Apparently, love is supposed to be suppressed on here, and we're supposed to like try to fight and learn from it. It's weird, but
yeah.
why I chose to come to Earth, I regret. I'm just
Yeah,
like, I'm like,
it's
I
fine.
had way too much privilege while I was in perfection. Because it's like you know stuff's gonna be bad, but you don't necessarily feel it because it's literally so loving and just amazing. Like, I I know a lot of humans can't say this, but for me, I literally can physically feel the weight of the human flesh because I know what it's like to be out of this vessel.
Hmm.
So it's like when something's your normal, you don't really know that you're in a bubble until it's popped. A lot
Yeah.
of humans, they're in that bubble, and I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying, like they haven't like left their body, and came back yet. But a lot of people who describe, them coming out of their body or them dying, um, they talk about the light. It's just so weightless and it's just so free. And so there was just all of those things. The near death experience videos, like it did serve its purpose with me getting like assured and getting my confidence back and my power back in what I'd been through, of what my near death experience looked like. Um, too much of anything can be bad, and too much of anything definitely contributed to yesterday. I was like, or was it 2 days ago? I don't fucking know. Time is all over the place. I was like, y'all, I will know what it feels like to be in a loving family if
Yeah.
I leave. Like, I'm just like, I will know this. I will know all these things that I'm worth. I will know all this goodness that I give to others. Like, I will know that once again. And even better, I think about my father and I think about my mother, and I'm just like, I, I will know what it's like to have loving parents when I leave. You know what I mean? So that's what I was, and I was telling them that, and I was like, y'all, like, I just want to go. Like, y'all know I fought so hard. I've already left a legacy. I was like, I just don't think there's much more I need to do. And I wasn't saying that necessarily as in like, oh, I'm like, oh, pity me. No, I was just being genuinely honest. I'm just like, I would stay here if I need to see more of the purpose, because right now it just seems like everything is like stopped. It seems like I've done enough. I wrote a book. I've done guest speaking. I've made changes within police departments when it comes to mental health. Um, I got this podcast that's like top 14% in the world. So I was like talking to my higher powers, and I was like, what more is there left for me to do? I'm just like, if I leave, y'all have my voice. So I'm like, if I am supposed to be here to teach people as well as learn, I'm like, okay, well, you have my voice. That's all you need, right? So that was kind of like my thought process behind it, and even on my best days, I still think that honestly. That's also the thing. That's because like I've experienced before. I've already experienced it. So it's just like, why
Right, but
can't?
like you're also forcing. It sounds like you're forcing your departure before you're even ready.
Of course, 1,000%. Of
And
course.
like that's not, I'm not saying like maybe that is right for you, but also at the same time, it's like you're if you let things just happen, then your departure will happen when it's supposed to happen and everything like that.
Right.
For things to be done. Otherwise, you wouldn't. I don't think you'd even have any like control over your passing and everything like that. If that makes sense, you know what I
That
mean?
is
Like,
very true. Actually, that is extremely
so
true.
if
That
you
is
did
very true.
everything you were supposed to do and everything like that, and I'm just basing off of your opinions, and if that
Mhm.
is the end, like the end outcome, then I'd imagine that it would just happen. I don't think you would have to do anything. I feel
Right.
like that's something that I like. I don't want to talk about like the way that you would go and everything like that because no one knows. But I'm just saying, like, I feel like it's one of those things that would just happen on its own
Yeah.
without you having to do anything. Do
That is
anything
very
with
true.
that's. But
That is
there's
very
better,
true.
there's ways to get through it and everything like that. That's you don't have to do that to yourself and everything like that. I know you have a support group and everything, but
Yes.
talk to me. You can always message me. I'm pretty open and I'm a pretty open person and everything like that. So
My best friend would love you because you said the exact same thing that he said to me, and I was just like, yes, hold me accountable.
well, we all go through pain. It's necessary for our growth and everything, but it's not always easy. And it's good. It's why we
Hmm.
have it's again, it goes back to what I was saying. Like we're here to
Mhm.
help each other and we need support and everything like that. Despite when you feel like you want to be alone, it's not always great to be alone, and it's hypocritical for me to say that sometimes because like I go in and out of phases of like I love my solitude, like like I'm
Yeah.
in a phase where like I love my solitude, but I know deep down that like I need people, I need support, and I need to have people to rely on and everything like that because I've gone through the
Right.
whole staying away from people and isolating myself and everything like that, and it did not work very well for me.
Right.
So, but you
Right.
can do it. You can do it. I'm not saying you can't do it to be,
Right.
but
Yeah.
it's just life's. That's more of like the love that you're talking about. Learning in these experiences, you can how you. That's another way to learn and everything like that is being around other people and like what we're doing now. Like you couldn't really do this without other people.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. We need each other. Thank
Yeah.
you. We need each other. Yeah, I do want to mention though. Um, 2 days ago, uh, this type specifically wasn't a pain-rooted one.
Hmm.
The suicide wanting, it wasn't a pain-rooted. In fact, I was very at peace. Fun fact. I know that's weird,
No.
right? You know that's weird. I was just very at peace, and it's just um That's very peaceful. I mean, there's a lot more to it, but the whole story is basically what you just said. You were very correct. You know what I mean? That if something is going to happen, it's literally going to happen. That's literally how it is. Literally, if
Yeah.
someone goes before their time, um, they will get sent back, like I did. They'll get sent back. So,
Yeah.
you know, um, so yeah, they will get sent back, just like I did when I was 15. So it's just like, okay, if I'm being really honest and vulnerable, which I have been struggling to do this season. I don't know what the fuck why.
You were just open. You were just very open just now. What do you mean?
Yeah, but I noticed that I have selective vulnerability.
Like with people, certain people?
Just topics.
Oh,
Like
um,
I can talk about like physical abuse like no. I I can talk about sexual abuse like no other. Like I can talk about that so like no other. But when it comes to my physical abuse, I can talk about it, but I have so much hesitation, and it's like selective vulnerability. Like you can talk about this, but you can't talk about that. And I was like, yeah, I know this one seems more massive, but it's easy for me to talk about this opposed to something that doesn't seem as massive.
right.
If that makes sense. Like I can talk about a 10, but if I try to talk about a 3, I like hesitate and I'll skip parts. I'll give you the overall, but I'm not being as vulnerable as if I was talking about a 10. So,
That makes yeah. No, I get that. I can definitely relate to that because it's like what we talked about earlier. Like I can talk about my trauma and I can talk about the being physically beaten and that type of stuff.
mhm.
But yeah, I mean, there's like smaller things that have happened in my life, even the depression and like the suicidal thoughts and stuff like that that I was experiencing. I mean, that it's like also too like you talk about it enough times and it almost becomes like it doesn't it doesn't matter. Like it matters, but I'm saying like it's one of those things where it's like it doesn't it's easier to talk about because you've talked about it so many times. That's what I mean by it doesn't matter. It's like you can talk about it enough times where it's like it's flows smoothly. So those little things that maybe aren't as big comparatively to the bigger experiences, maybe you just haven't talked about them enough and everything like that. Like I mean, the whole, for like my whole experience when I was like having suicidal thoughts and stuff like that. I mean, I was hospitalized, everything for like a week and everything like that. I went through that experience and it, I mean, it definitely shaped my perspective towards like talking about certain things. Like if
Wait. So you had an attempt and went to the hospital?
I had suicidal thoughts and got hospitalized for it, but
Oh, like psych ward?
yeah, like one of those places where like they didn't like straight jacket me and
I know
everything
what you
like
mean.
that.
I know what you mean.
Yeah,
I
they
was in
just
one of
put
those
yeah,
before.
that
Yeah.
when I was like 19 years old, and that's what this is and everything like that was like kind of a reminder, but not towards the negative. It was to communicate
Mm-hmm.
is that you're experiencing. And this
Yeah.
specific tattoo is actually its energy is located at the base of the throat, and it's the
Yes.
Shuddha
Yes.
chakra. And so, but the reason the
Mm.
symbolism behind it is the fact that it deals with communication and to speak your truth and to hear your truth. And
Yeah.
right now, that's what we're doing and everything like that. Like you're speaking your
Mm.
truth, I'm speaking my truth, and like we're
Yes.
listening to each other. And it's whenever you're dealing with sort of pain or experience, you should always talk about it, whether even if it's like minute and everything like that. I know some people are like,
Right.
oh, like let it go and everything, but if it's bothering you and it
Right.
feels like a
Still
minute,
valid.
talk about it, like let
Yeah.
it out and everything. And that was my thing was like, at
Yeah.
the time was like I needed to talk about these things. I was bottling it all up. And now I'm more open about talking about it. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm proud of you for going to a facility to help with that. I went to a facility to help with that too. Like you said, mine wasn't the straitjacket one either,
Yeah,
but
that's why
it's
when I
just
hear psych word, I'm like, I feel like
yeah.
it's like that's what I think of when I think of psych word. It was like a sub below psych word, I guess, but maybe it's
Yeah.
psych word, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm proud of you for going. Thanks for sharing that, Dylan.
Sure.
My,
Thanks for sharing your recent experience too. Seriously.
mm, my,
I
one
mean
of
to
my
take away, by the way.
motivations, if I'm battling through my selective vulnerability, one of my main motivations. Obviously, I'm gonna put a trigger warning in the description below for this video.
It's probably a good
Um,
idea.
but um, I was like, I need to get my higher power's attention. I was like, it seems like I have to like go above and beyond and say, listen, like I'm a human being. I need help. I probably bit off more than I can chew before this. I get it. But bitch, I'm a human being. Y'all are not. Yeah,
Yeah.
y'all aren't human beings on this earth. So like I need y'all to know, like, this shit hurts. Like, y'all know it hurts, but y'all don't know it hurts. So I was just like, though you are all fired, you're all fired. you know, I was just telling him, I was like, well, you're all fired. Somebody allowed me to bite off more than I can chew during that whole life process, blueprint, soul contract thing.
Yeah.
I
Whatever
was like, somebody allowed me to bite off more than I could chew, knowing damn well that I didn't know. So I was like, you are fired.
you're
But
out.
it's just like I need y'all support because there is something that I am missing that I need that this world can't really give. It can give, but it's very rare. So I'm just like, I need it. Okay, like I'm doing all this healing, all this work, like the things that I've accomplished. It defies statistics, you know. And I'm just like, for what? I'm like, for what? I was like, all to end up here. Like I definitely got in that zone. So it wasn't more so. Mine wasn't coming from a pain center. Obviously, pain was involved, but the root this time was it was more a peace, and it was more of a I don't know what my purpose is going forward anymore. I just don't know anymore. I used to know, but I think that purposes can change.
Sure.
Once you accomplish, you can go on to the next. I feel like and no matter what I do, I just like, okay, let me go on to the next. But what is that next?
Yeah.
I don't like to be stagnant in life. I always like to be growing, to be healing, to be going forward, to be accomplishing just different things. So when I feel stuck, that's not a good thing, especially when I've already left this earth before. I'm just like, I will not hesitate to go home. Um, but and I also just want to be in like the arms of like my higher powers.
Yeah.
God is entity. Jesus is kind of like that physical embodiment. Some people see Mary. Some people see Buddha type being. It's whatever helps them connect to their spirit while they're on this earth. That's what people can also experience because eternity's massive. There's so many aspects and complex aspects of eternity. And I feel like when someone actually has that encounter, then they can understand and grasp what I just said. Um, but it's hard to describe. But the thing is, like, I want to be in those loving arms.
Well, like,
Like,
okay, so like to that, I mean,
child.
maybe like you haven't gone through the full involution to experience the evolution that you need to arrive at that point to be within those arms and everything that you're kind of like trying to reach and everything like that. Maybe you're still there's still things that you need to do. Otherwise, like you
That's
probably
true.
wouldn't still be here. But again, I don't, like we don't know for sure. But yeah, I don't know what eternity. I guess I
You're preaching.
what it
Hey, listen.
is.
You're
I don't
home.
know what eternity is really, or maybe an aspect of myself does know what it is, and I just haven't really reached grasp the full understanding of it yet, and I'm still getting
Mhm.
there and everything because
Yeah.
I'm still learning.
Because your soul already knows. Because, I mean, you came from somewhere.
Somewhere, yeah,
Yeah, your soul
somewhere.
already knows. That's like a lot of cravings that we get. It's because it was ours to begin with. It was ours to begin with. Like, for example, like, people love love. People go on reality shows for love. Obviously, some people are just, like, faking it on the shows, but not everybody. Some people are genuinely looking for love. People,
Lust
you
at
know,
that.
hmm?
It's like lust. Like on those shows, it's more of like lust and like
Yeah.
lower.
I'm talking about The Bachelorette.
Yeah,
But Love Island, that's not Love Island, that's Lust Island. Let's be honest. That is, let's see, a lot of. Are You the One? That is definitely Lust Island. I like the concept of Love is Blind, because it does take away the best that it can. It does take away that whole that lust factor
yeah.
at
I
first.
don't. I don't even know. 'Cause I don't watch cable or any of that stuff, so I don't even like.
Mhm.
I only know about it through like hearing other people like talk about it and everything like that personally.
Yeah, you're not missing anything, Dylan. You're not missing anything. I'm telling you, you're not missing anything.
Yeah, I didn't think so, but you never know.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad show. Honestly, I love it. I love the concept. I love what it actually can teach people and does teach people. And it just gives us a reminder that in this very swipe left, swipe right, kind of culture that we're in right now, a show like Love is Blind reminds us that,
Mhm.
yes, the person can be so fine on the outside. Are they fine on the inside? Like, that's also important.
Yeah,
Um, they shouldn't have to look like Nick Jonas for them to be worthy of love, you know? Um,
yeah, and it's like what makes it tough too. But you're absolutely like because you're 100% right. It's like it seems like the world that a lot of people live in is very superficial, and so like a lot of those qualities and a lot of those people that are true and pure like really do get kind of shunned and like not shunned, but like put to the side just because again you could have two of the same people and like one person they just look absolutely what people call as beautiful and everything like
mhm,
that and
mhm,
maybe they have like amazing like a terrible heart and everything like that or like terrible qualities and everything but that person over there who doesn't look what you would call as beautiful is one of the most genuine people that you will ever meet, but that person will never get recognized. That person will never
mhm.
get known, and that person will never get the spotlight
Yeah,
just because of how the world, how not all the world, but how some people view what like
yeah.
who deserves the spotlight and who doesn't deserve the spotlight. And
Mm.
yeah, I don't
That's
know.
something that I talked about in my bonus episode a little bit. Is I said it in this statement. In my higher powers, Holy Spirit, God, Jesus, the Spirit guides,
Yeah,
um, the council, all of them who are fired. They, downloaded in my mind. I just gotta let them know. I was like, you are fired. But they downloaded stuff in my mind, and that's how I was able to write a poetry book because them, I was like, I don't just think of these things. I'm like, oh
yeah,
wow, yeah. And so basically, what it told me, what they said, um, in and obviously I was able to translate it through my own lens, was that society wants my body, but my heart is what they need. So um, it's just like,
That's good. I like
yeah,
that.
someone wants your body, but it's just like, my heart is really what you need. My body is only going to give you temporary satisfaction when like my heart can like really like love you and things like that.
Yeah.
um yeah, because Holy Spirit knows, they all know that like I definitely have had closed myself off for many years because I'm like was only viewed as an object,
Hmm.
you know and so yeah, and though I didn't grow up with the best confidence, I love myself now. I have confidence now, no doubt about it. But growing up, I always was told I was ugly. I even thought I was ugly, though certain individuals still viewed me as objects. And so when I am viewed as an object, when a guy just wants to like sleep with me, I used to be flattered. I'd be like, no, but thank you, and I genuinely meant that thank you. You know what I mean? I was like, oh wow, it's just another um way of them speaking to my insecurity, letting me know that guess what, I'm at least not ugly enough for them to want me as something. And then as I grew my healing journey and my self-love journey and my love for others, I began to realize I don't want to encounter that consistently anymore. I'm just like, honestly, like, have a guy come and talk about my heart. Yes, like, talk about my heart, that'll make me smile. Talk about my looks, I'm like, eh, thanks, you know, like,
Yeah.
thanks.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just like, it's not a bad thing to talk about someone's looks. It's just, what I'm saying is, I consistently had my looks talked about with other motives. They weren't just saying it as, oh, a compliment. Like
Okay.
when I complimented you, Dylan, they
Yeah.
weren't just saying it as a compliment. They were saying it with an ulterior motive. And it's just like when you consistently experience something over and over and over again, you get tired of it, or you're just going to see that that's all that there is because it's not like you have been shown something other than, you
Yeah.
know? So,
Right. Then your guard gets put up, and then you don't want to put yourself out there for other people because you think they're all trying to like, get with you and everything. Get right. Is that kind of like what you're experiencing, like what you've experienced and everything like that? Is just like, but then those people that do like, actually, now I'm thinking about it, is like those people that do that you deal with, like those guys that you're dealing with and everything like that, who are uh, like seeking the surface or seeking the flesh and everything like that. It's like they're probably not ready for, they're not, they haven't like learned cultivated those things in themselves, and maybe they're craving the things that they're missing in themselves, and they think that the body is like what's going to help them,
yeah,
or it's just a quick fix, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't
yeah,
even have to be that complex and everything like that, but if you want to make it like that complex, it could be. It's like, okay, you're
yeah,
just
because that
seeking
is a
help.
reality. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. I've been on both sides of the spectrum with
I was
like,
just about to say I've been on both sides too, so I wanted to let people know, hey, guess what? I'm not judging. I'm just tired of experiencing it. That's all I'm saying. I'm just tired of
yeah,
experiencing it. I was just
no,
like,
exactly, exactly.
that's
Like,
all I'm saying. It used to be flattering. I used to love it. I'm just like, oh my god, no, but thank you. And now I'm just like, that's all I experience. Like it's like now I want more.
mhm,
I know what I want. I want substance. I don't want surface level. I can't thrive in surface level. I'm an INFJ personality type. We
yeah,
don't thrive in surface level.
sure, yeah, no, exactly. And like, but again, like I'm guessing you're probably not a saint. Like you've probably been on both sides of the spectrum of like seeking out the flesh, but you've also
Wait,
been on the
your
side of,
video is paused.
oh,
It's okay. It's a good shot though.
thanks.
It's
Well, at
it's
least
it's a
you're
good
saying it.
shot. We got the muscles going and all that good stuff. The side profile, everything's you're good.
Well, I don't know. You can hear my voice, so it's fine. So anyway,
Exactly, exactly.
but yeah, so I was just saying, like you, like it's like you've probably been on both sides of it, like the person seeking someone for their, body, but then you've probably been on the other side of it where, like you're at a point now where it's like obviously you know that's not long lasting. It doesn't really do anything long term. And deep down, maybe there's probably a lot of us that want something long lasting. I'm guessing, unless that's really just you just don't don't. But personally, like there's a strong part of me that definitely does want something more serious with a date. Like I haven't been with a lot of different girls, but the women that I have been with and everything like that have been like I've I've wanted something, like they've been like I've been with them. I was never really with like a bunch of different people at once. I would find someone, I would be them with them for a little bit, but I wouldn't necessarily call it dating. It was just like, okay, obviously I want this, but I was not always ready for it. And so
Right, 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 right,
the
right.
funny part about that is like now it's like I like that would be great, but I'm so focused on still growing myself and my foundation and my business and my all the aspects of my like financial, spiritual, mental, emotional health, and really solidifying that and like laying the like strong bricks down, that I just am like kind of pushing it away and everything, even though I could probably have it right now if I wanted to. I'm just like,
Right.
I want to make sure that I'm like good and everything. And I am
Yeah,
a lot better than I was
priorities.
last year. So
Yes. Yes. You want to know something interesting? Something that my higher powers taught me? They told me, they were like, "Would you date you?" And I remember because I was wanting all these great things in
that's
a
a good
guy.
question.
Hmm.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I remember this was like, I think when I was like 19 or something like that, or 20. I was wanting all these great things in a guy, and my higher powers at that time, my higher power was Jesus. He was like, him and Holy Spirit, they were like, would you date you? Would you date you? Do you have those qualities that you also want from someone else? And I had to be honest, and I said no. Now I say yes, yes in capital letters. Um, yeah, now I say yes, yes in capital letters. And, I'm glad others do see it.
Yeah.
Now so I am learning to, my judgmentalness is starting to decrease um, towards men who just like saw me as one thing. Um, because I'm now also being shown another side of the coin of like, hey, I like your looks and your heart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just not upset at the fact that I'm only like, for so long was just viewed as an object. It was more so I just got upset at constantly encountering that I felt like that was all that I am because of the sexual abuse I already been through when I was little, fucking object. So I was just like, it would trigger that. But once I was healed and healing that area, outlook started to change. And then I just got fed up with, this is all I'm encountering though. Like, it's making me go back to that thought process that once again, I'm just an object because that's how I was always treated,
Hmm.
by men, like as a kid, just
Right.
men. Yeah. So grew up hating men, but I was still attracted to them. Toxic, but toxic.
Funny. Funny so.
Yes.
No, hey, I appreciate the honesty and everything like that, but
Yeah.
it's not even like toxic, but that's funny. You're funny.
Oh no, I'm finished because I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you busy doing boss bitch shit.
No, I was I mean, yeah, there's not really I don't really have much else to kind of like say right now at least. I mean, we covered so much stuff and I don't really yeah, I mean, this was very insightful and it was very I think this could potentially help a lot of people and that was like my intention with talking to you is like, I'm hoping that if this does reach whoever, that it does help them with whatever they're experiencing and everything. But there's a lot of different topics that we could talk about and everything that we only brushed up on and all that. But I feel like we definitely covered a lot of ground and everything. And
Okay.
you know, we're all dealing with our own issues, and we're all dealing with our own healing process and trauma and stuff like that in different ways and everything. It doesn't have to be a significant thing, but we're all just healing and everything for the most part. And it's stuff that won't ever really truly go away, but the way that you respond and the way that you um, respond to the world in regards to a trigger that could cause
Mm,
it to flare up again is something I feel like is like the best way to kind of approach healing too, is just not letting projecting out too much of it onto the world, even though it happens to all of us. Like it
right.
literally, like, it happens a couple times, like I'd say a couple times a week, where like maybe a person doesn't notice it, but like someone will say something or do something, and like, you know, I'll say something, but they might not even notice, but like I notice, and I'm like, damn, I really need to work on that. And then
Right.
that's how how my growth kind of happens and stuff like that. And so if people could, do stuff like that, or at least become more conscious of their actions, even when it's tough, when you have a billion things going on, I think that's a start on the healing journey and process.
Right.
So
1000%. Mic drop. Um, okay. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is, since it's almost an hour and 10 minutes, that's when it's gonna cut off.
okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and end the episode, but stay on just like a couple minutes longer. I want to talk to you.
Yeah.
That's all. Okay.
I don't have to be anywhere until about 4 o'clock, so I'm good.
Oh, cool, cool, cool. It definitely won't take that long. But, but okay, yes. All right, folks. It's been part two of vulnerability time. What I'm gonna do is I don't have to go through the stress of naming the episode. I'm just gonna make it a part two.
Yeah, there you go.
Part
That
two, yes.
works.
It's hard to name episodes sometimes because there's so many good names, and I'm like, there's only so much letters that can fit in a title for the
Right.
podcast. So I'm just like, I get all indecisive, and I'm like, which one? Like which one? Which ones? So
Yeah.
it's an easy day today, and I don't
Yeah.
have to do
Oh,
an advertisement sound bit.
the other thing too I wanted to say is that if you stumble across this, definitely check out my YouTube, which is UNA_fitness, and then my website, unafitnesswellness.com. And then same thing with my IG. It's the same thing. So Unifit.
Yes. Which will be in the episode description below, folks.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
I'll add
Okay.
that up.
All right. Bye, folks. If I'm being honest, folks, I would like to say, if no one has told you today you are loved, let yourself be the first. But I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I don't have the energy. I don't have any energy to say anything.
My,
So,
my battery's drained.
yeah, my battery's drained, folks. Y'all know I've been here before when I had an almost attempt and the attempt in September of last year. So, y'all know how it is sometimes with me that, like, I mean well, y'all know I mean well. One day my vibrations will be higher than the trauma that has been given.
Yeah.
So, that I chose, apparently. But already, bye, folks. Deuces. Tell someone that they're worth it and that you love them.